Hey guys, welcome. My name is Ezilii, and today we're going to build the Sapple Store, as affectionately dubbed when we made it over on Twitch. This is a first for me. I recorded this as I was streaming, and so there's a lot of spots I've taken out where I stop to acknowledge what's going on over on Twitch for a variety of reasons. So there's probably going to be quite a few dissolves, some transitions that weren't in a previous video. It's an Atomic Ranch, mid-century modern house speed build. Right now what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to figure out spacing with furniture. And I figured it out, but I think I ended up changing a direction which I was going to go. Now, if you're familiar with a certain type of electronic fruit company, you'll notice that there's a lot of similarities with this and Apple stores in general. This is on the gallery. I will have a link down below. And what I'm trying to do is just kind of replicate a clean electronic store. And Apple is a great example of clean and clutter-free. However, I kind of found that I don't have enough clutter to put where I want clutter, which is a little concerning, so maybe I need to look for some CC. But this is, so far, it's a CC free build, so there's no custom content that's in it. You are free to download it, play with it, run it as your own store. I think what I'm going to do is, this inspired me to make a couple other commercial businesses for Sims 4 in this little promenade here. I think one of my next builds going to be a cafe. I don't know why a cafe, but I feel a cafe. I really feel a cafe is needed in my life that is in Sims 4 that I built, I guess. I don't know. So right now we're working on the behind bits. We're just still kind of like space planning and configuring where things are gonna go, and I'm kind of eyeing where I'm gonna put like some sort of manager's office, some lockers for employees, a room to like fix things, and then we need like a break room and some inventory space. And what I found out is that we severely lack just plain cardboard boxes in the game. Just in the game. And I mean, it is what it is. Now, in that back piece where there's sensitive data, we don't have actual windows where you could see out. We have windows where it lets natural light in. You know, heaven forbid we get anybody back there going through like reports, right? These are real world thoughts of just any business. You don't need somebody going through your business records and finding stuff. I was briefly comparing types of fences, and we went with the glass fence on Twitch. Chat made that decision for me, which was awesome. I appreciate it. And I'm considering things like, how do I work out this mess? And then here's our roof. I was like, green roof, right? So these little cuts that we just went through, all these like dissolves, I cut out parts that we stopped. Now this is sped up like 800 times. I might even slow it down to 400, because right now the current runtime is about 30 minutes, just shy of 30 minutes. So if we go to 4, it might be 40 minutes. So if you're hearing this and it's like 40 minutes now, even though it's 30 minutes, Was what I said, well, you know the outcome. A little behind the scenes tour, if you will. And then something that we were discussing as we were building this is this little wall here makes kind of this courtyard, and now we're gonna figure out what we want to put down as our courtyard, and we went with that little broken up pattern there. Cobblestone, I think, or Riverstone. I don't remember its true name, but we went with that. But these little walls serve as two things: decorative with safety in mind. You know, you could stand safely behind that wall and not, heaven forbid, get hit by a car. And then the other purpose is theft prevention. Like, we've seen this. This has been a thing in the news, and it's not, you know, far-fetched idea that someone could just take a vehicle and use it as a weapon or as a method of breaking into somewhere. You know, we've been doing it for centuries. You know, the battering ram, right? Big, like, hunking things to knock down castle walls and whatnot. Right? So it's not far-fetched to think somebody would possibly consider that as an option. And glass, as strong as it is significantly more fragile than, say, those back walls that could be, in theory, reinforced. The game doesn't really show you that, but it could be a reinforced wall. But it's those silly things, right? That, sure, it's decorative, but it's also providing some functionality. And coming from a design perspective, that's something you could do to design a building to have some of these features that aren't completely obvious, right? I know what it's there for. Now that I told you, you know what it's there for. But it also provides a gathering space. I could put a bench on the inside. You know, you could say, hey, meet me at the Sapple Store, and I'll just be outside. I mean, we're picturing this as maybe like Columbia, or not Columbia. I'm thinking of a town. California. And, you know, it's kind of sunny out in California most of the time. Not all the time, but most of the time. Or Colorado. This would actually be an excellent store in Colorado. Colorado is fairly dry. It doesn't rain often on the eastern side of the Rockies there, the east slope, or quote unquote front slope, front range, and it doesn't rain often as you get closer to the foothills because they're in the rain shadow. And it's normally fairly comfortable temperature-wise, probably most of the year. So yeah, this would be perfect. This would be a perfect Colorado store. But either way, this is where things start to get modeled, looking further and further more like an Apple store. Which, I mean, maybe not. I mean, it's Sapple Store, right? It's Sapple Store. But I also discover not many things go on these shelves, which I think I've said time and time again. Like, I really wish some stuff would go on these shelves, like snap. Like, why not? Why don't things just go on the shelf? Things that should go on the shelf don't go on the shelf. And I also discover that things, it's just like, it's weird. Like, why have a shelf if things don't naturally just go on the shelf? Like, later you'll see I'm struggling with some things that should go on a shelf. Stuff that should be there, like that's where you would store stuff, like some pertinent records that you need to keep for X days, X months, X years before they get shredded and discarded, like shipping, receiving items. I'm sure that there would be employee paperwork that needs to be kept in some places, secure in file cabinets. And for this to function as a retail store, I had to make this register, which if you're familiar with like a real Apple store, they don't have these. They walk around with them and they ring you out with the little handheld devices. But I really enjoyed that tone of wood, and I don't necessarily like wood paneling in real life, but if that was in my house, I probably wouldn't mind it too much, especially if where the lines line up, if it was built in and ready for just random modular shelving, I would enjoy it. But nonetheless, I don't have wood on my walls. I have plaster and drywall. And here we're figuring out tables and some spacing. I did all that effort in the beginning to figure out how many tables I could fit in one direction, and I changed it to be laid out in a completely different direction. And then I discovered that these won't line up anywhere perfect without serious recourse and trickery and tomfoolery, which, you know, maybe I don't want to spend that kind of time doing live, I guess. And I figured that since this is a retail store, I would just leave it kind of suggestive that this is what would be here and not fill it out completely, because I mean, I guess you could take away the furnishings, I guess. But you know, the purpose is that you guys would be able to use this in your own gameplay, and maybe you don't want it to be an electronic store. Now, I put those game consoles on the shelf. I was like, oh, we could sell game consoles on the shelf. But later, I believe I just removed them because it's either a whole bunch of game consoles or nothing else that was electronic. And I'm actually kind of surprised there's not a telephone for like a desk in the game with what packs I have. Now, through the generosity of my community, they have purchased a lot of packs for me through direct gifting or donating and tipping. So I have managed to fill out my collection some, but even then, with what I had at this and then now what I have, Blue Eyes, this is a shout out to Blue Eyes, I was able to pick up the Jungle Pack. There was another one, not Parenthood. Oh well, I forget. But needless to say, that was very kind, and I was able to add to my collection a lot. Oh, Spa Day, that's it. So it might help me create more stuff for you guys to use in your games and whatnot. And this process that we go through when we make these buildings speaks to some things that I've felt, you know, a need to plan space, design space. You would think that I would have gone to school for architecture, but math scares me. I mean, it does. It doesn't scare me, but it definitely scared me away from it. I could definitely probably do architecture from an art standpoint and pay engineers to do things like figure out weight and structure as far as like what needs to do what in the structure to make it stand and make it be solid. And after a while you would just kind of get the hang of it. And then so we've made this upstairs, and the upstairs would be like where services are. So some tech support, some education going on. I put in a podium so it would at least have a spot for a sim to interact and deliver a lecture or deliver a workshop of sorts, and a little tech bar and some seating for people to hang out or learn a couple things or two. And now we're making this balcony, which is gonna go away, and I don't think I show it, but we went to work on other parts of the store here, and I came back and it was missing. And the way it is now, it's less crowded. Well, the way it is finished now is less crowded. The current way shows an awful lot of, I think it has an extra table in it. So it is what it is, right? I couldn't undo. We went too far for we went too far. I could not undo to get my stuff back, so I just remade it to the best of my ability, and I am not perfect. So now I'm trying to figure out what color steps, and I think I go back to the blue. I think I just stay with the blue steps because it's different from the rest of the atmosphere in the space. And I needed some, I guess, variety in the space. So when you do things, your design or art, you have things like unity and variety. Now, if you walk into an Apple store, which this is modeled after, not a specific one, but just in essence, you see a lot of unity. You know, table surfaces are all the same. People wear the same t-shirt that work there. You see very similar packaging, especially among, you know, Apple branded things. They all have a very clean, crisp package. Eco-friendly has been the movement lately. Do you guys remember when software came in big boxes and it was a little tiny disc? Or better yet, before it all started to just be purchased online, you had a large box. I'm talking maybe an 8x11 box, like notebook size, with a little card in it to download. Yeah. Well, anyway, recyclable packaging, eco packaging, crisp, clean things. You know, there's unity in that, but I wanted a little bit of variety, so I went with those blue steps, I think. I don't recall. But now we're making management office. We have a restroom in there, a little tech room. Oh, there's the bathroom. Oh, and a mirror. Look at that. And I'm trying to figure out, what can I put here? Like, what would you do with stuff that you need to work on? Like, you have to house things that need to get worked on or looked at, or you're waiting for somebody to come and get, or etc., etc. And I found that industrial shelf that didn't have anything on it, and I wanted to get computers on it or something to that nature. And they don't just snap onto it. Anyway, now there's some more lockers for employees to leave stuff. I'm making a little kitchenette, not necessarily I mean, there's going to be some microwaves and stuff. But anyway. Little snacky bar thing. Refrigerator, some microwaves, because Lord knows how many people have to work here. Coffee maker, a sink. I threw in a dishwasher. I don't know what you would actually dishwash, but you know. It's there. I could take it out. It's there in the gallery. And now we're trying to space plan the like a little area to have a meal, to relax, to take your break. Right? I mean, we need these spaces. Employees need space to do these things. And if they're able to do it on site more readily, there's less impact that outside forces would cause a late return, say a line to pay for your meal, or you know, halfway through the meal or halfway through the time, the person that took their meal order or whatnot is like, whoa, wait a second. And then something breaks, you know, like there's delays, right? Or traffic. Like they have to go, they run an errand real quick and then traffic happens. So if you could get people to stay to have their break, there's less likely to, I guess, be delayed. Now, remember that balcony we had? Now we have to redo it. So, here we go. We're redoing it. And now, like, what did I have? Oh, I had glass fence. Oh, and what else did I have? I had trees. And then I had tables. It's like, gosh, now I have to remember what all I had here. And then it's like, how was it spaced out? Was it spaced out like this? Was it spaced out like that? And table time. But see, you could come outside here and wait. Right? Wouldn't it be awesome? Like if you're stuck waiting for something and it's a gorgeous day, wouldn't you rather just wait outside? I mean, I would if you're stuck inside all the time. Wouldn't you want to wait outside? And this would be where the whole operation of the entire store gets conducted, between managing incoming and outgoing inventory and all that good stuff, getting it out into people's hands. But alas, I don't have product to put on these shelves because I don't have cardboard boxes or something of that nature. And I was just showing somebody how to extend stairs live. Kind of bled into that transition. Some final upkeep and placing of things. I found that guy, and there's like some random crates that I found in a collection, and then we're tossing down some stuff, but we should be coming up to the final results. Oh, this was the boxes on shelves. Like, those boxes should go on those shelves. They should just go on the shelf. And I'm like, well, maybe they're not snapping. And then I use the Control 9 to move it up. But then it's either too high, or it's in the shelf, or it's halfway on the shelf. And, you know, there's no happy medium there. It's kind of a bummer, but maybe we'll fix it. I would love to have this game married with City Skylines, married with Planet Coaster. That would be my ultimate game, most likely. But it would have to include space and some other things as well. But I digress. And, oh, there's those crates. We're wrapping up here in the last little bit. Put down some knickknacks, take some screenshots. I'm going to let this just play out. Until next time, my name is Ezilii. Thanks for watching. You can download this if you'd love to on the gallery. I'll have that linked down below. Be good to each other.